Welcome to the Mindset Chick podcast. If you are looking to stop settling and want to gain the clarity and confidence to manifest the life and biz of your dreams, then this show is for you. I'm your host, Kristi Dear, sharing with you simple yet powerful and effective mindset tips that will allow you to attract more abundance, prosperity, and success into your life. So get ready, get excited, and let's go manifest some amazing things together. Welcome back to the Mindset Chick podcast. I am so happy to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about anger and frustration and what to do when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling frustrated, and how those feelings don't have to be shameful. You don't have to feel guilty. They can actually support you in your path. Can you believe it? It really can. So knowing how to guide them, knowing why they're coming up, what are some healthy ways that you can, release this anger or get to the root of it, find out why you're angry or why these emotions are coming up, why these thoughts are coming up, and not to feel guilty or shaming yourself, but, using it as fuel and as a guide. But before we start, we're going to first start with our Mindset Chick mantra that we say at the beginning of all of the episodes. So feel free to follow along with me, close your eyes, really feel into it. I am now rich, well, healthy, and happy, and every phase of my life is in divine order now. And so it is. Okay, so anger. It's kind of something like you don't really want to talk about. It's like, I'm angry. No, I'm not. I'm this happy-go-lucky person all the time, And when we're doing these mindset practices and we're becoming more spiritually awakened and aligned and reading self-help books and doing these mantras and waking up with a morning mindset practice and doing our tapping and, feeling into this high vibe, joy, love vibration, we can, feeling angry seems like, wait. Okay, that's something that I don't do. That's something shameful. That's something that a good person doesn't do. That's something that a kind person doesn't do. That's something that a nice person doesn't do. And here's the thing that I've learned is that really, everybody has emotions. Everybody feels angry, sad, frustrated, happy, blissful, joyful, We all have these emotions. It's human nature. And I feel like it's been really shamed upon a lot for people to be angry or get upset. And therefore people suppress it and suppress it and suppress it. They don't want to show it. So maybe behind closed doors is when they blow up at a loved one, when they blow up at their kids, because around other people, they want to seem nice and happy and kind. And, I'm not angry. Who, me? You could be in a group setting and your significant other or friend says something to you and you just kind of nod your head. Okay. Yeah. You're thinking in the back of your head, yeah, you're going to get it. You're going to get it later, but not in front of all these people. I'm just going to put on a happy face and I'm going to act like it doesn't bother me. I've also noticed that, standing up for ourselves can be shameful too. I've noticed that a lot of times, like I've gone out to dinner with friends and the waiter is horrible and rude and mean and brings them the wrong food. And they're like, oh, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to rock the boat. I'll just eat it. And it's like, why? Why? You don't have to rock the boat by saying, excuse me, my food's cold. Excuse me, you brought me the wrong thing. Excuse me, can I have some more iced tea? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You're at a restaurant. You expect to be served. You expect to get what you want. You don't want cold food. So, but I feel like a lot of times as a society, we're like, well, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be upset. I don't want to be angry. So you suppress it and suppress it and suppress it. And that can actually do you a lot of harm. Like you think maybe you're being a good person. You think you're being kind. You think you're being nice. But really, those emotions have to go somewhere. So if you're pushing them down, they're going to manifest in some way. And one of my favorite authors, Louise Hayes, she has a book, You Can Heal Your Life. And she talks about the correlation between being sick and ill and autoimmune and all these things that are going on within your body are caused from emotions, caused from repressed emotions that you have stuck and stored in your body that you haven't let go of, that you haven't released. And that's why it's so important on these podcasts where we talk about doing the clearing, doing the tapping, releasing these emotions, releasing these thoughts, releasing the doubt, releasing the fear, doing the Ho'oponopono, getting it out, being like, I don't want to take this. I'm upset, or I don't want to feel this way, or I'm going to let go of saying, I dislike you every day, or you're ugly, or you're fat. Like, I'm going to let that go, or you can't amount to anything. I'm going to stop saying those things to myself. I'm going to let it all out. I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to clear. I'm going to do the Ho'oponopono. I'm going to forgive myself. I'm going to forgive people along the way who have upset me, who have triggered me, who have allowed me to get angry and frustrated and maybe done things that I didn't want to do, or just really kind of piss me off, right? I'm going to let go. I'm going to clear. It's so important. I feel like it's such a good topic that we're discussing this in March. And the whole month of March, I really want to talk about, how to release these emotions healthfully and how to not shame or feel guilty, feel like a bad mom. If you're a mom and you have kids, being a mom is tough, guys. It's a tough job, okay? It's rewarding, but it's tough. I mean, have you ever lost your cool with your kiddos and then literally felt like the worst parent in the world? Like, why did I do that? I'm supposed to be the best mom. I'm supposed to be nice. I'm supposed to be kind. I'm supposed to be loving. I'm supposed to be just this feminine energy of light. And man, but they really got under my skin. They weren't listening to me. And I just exploded. And now I feel horrible. Well, I'm going to tell you, if you've ever had that moment in your life, to just stop right now and just tell yourself, you did the best you could at that moment. I forgive you. I love you. I appreciate you. You're a good mom. Or you're a good dad. For the men out there listening, you're a good dad. What could I have done different? How can maybe I do it different moving forward? Were there times when I was just pushing the emotion down? The kids were testing my patience, or maybe a customer service person was testing my patience, or a family member, and I took it out on my kids. Like, how could I do things differently next time so that I don't lose my cool? But you're going to lose your cool here and there. So don't beat up on yourself, but it's always learning and growing, right? And that's what life is about. I think we put so much stress on our lives to be perfect. And when being a better person means being nice and kind and always having a smile on your face and never getting angry and never getting frustrated and not letting people see that because it's really, really bad. Maybe you won't be liked, but everybody gets upset and angry. And if you know what, if you see somebody who loses their cool and gets really upset, instead of shaming them or judging them, maybe just say, you know what? I'm going to give them some compassion because they must be struggling. Maybe they just lost a loved one. Maybe they just had something really terrible happen. Maybe they're not feeling heard. Maybe they feel alone. And I'm not saying it's okay to just start like cussing somebody out and being, aggressive with somebody when you're angry, but you know what I'm saying. Somebody's kind of losing their cool. Just give them compassion and maybe say a little prayer for them. God, go into their heart and really help them and to lead with love and know that you don't have to be angry to get your way. That's another thing too. I think a lot of times, it's a practice. Some people were taught growing up, well, to get my way, I have to be angry. Maybe they threw a lot of temper tantrums as a little kid. I want my cookie. And the mom's like, fine, just take it. Just be quiet. So they learned as they got older, now they're at the checkout line at Target and they're like, I want my refund. And you're watching them going, ooh, wow. But they learn like if they get aggressive, if they get angry enough, they'll be in control. It's an illusion and it's not a very healthy habit. But, give them love and compassion. I think about that. I think like if we could, instead of judging and shaming people, look at them and say a little prayer for them. Because we all get angry and upset. Some people do it in public and some people do it behind closed doors, right? So saying, God, I'm going to send them some love and say a little prayer of compassion that hopefully they find out that, they start learning that they don't need to be angry and hateful and upset and irate to get their way, and send them some compassion because what? Hurt people, right? And once again, remembering that when somebody's really upset like that, it's really not about you, it's about them. That's a huge thing to remember too. When I was young, I waited tables and man, I had some mean people. Wow, did I have some mean people? I mean, you wouldn't even believe it. They would just sit down and start being rude to me for no reason. And I was a good waitress. I really was. I worked at TGI Fridays and I used to stack those plates all up my arm. If you ever went there, let me see, I'm dating myself now. Maybe like 27 years ago. Wow. Yeah, I would stack those plates all up my arm and I would carry like 3 drinks in one hand and a drink in the next. And I would take everybody's order by memory. I knew exactly where, the food would go, the drink would go for each person. I never would take an order and then come back and go, who had the chicken? I would know exactly who ordered what, where the drink would go. I would have the refills right on the table. I thought it was great. Still, I had people yell at me, get upset with me. I also wear those suspenders. Do you guys remember that with all the flare on them? I just thought about that, all these buttons. It's an interesting part of my life. And that's where I met my husband, actually. He was a bartender and I was a waitress. But there was just so many rude people and I would take things so personally. I wasn't in a very good place at that time in my life. I was very, very depressed. I had massive self-hate. Oh my gosh, I'm a totally different person now. I didn't know anything about this law of attraction. If somebody would have told me about it, I would have said, whatever, crazy. And I would try, I would, even though I was upset and depressed and didn't like myself much, like I would try to show up and do the best I could in my job. I had a lot of things going on in my home life that were very upsetting and I wasn't home a lot. I moved out when I was 18. I was on my own. There was just so much stuff going on in my life. And, I showed up trying to be kind, trying to be nice and cheerful and doing the best job that I could. And I would just get people who were so rude and so belittling. And I mean, I couldn't even believe it. I had one lady one time, she said, can I have an application? And I was like, oh, an application for unemployment? And she's like, like I would ever work here. Oh my gosh, please. And all of her friends started laughing. How do you think that makes somebody feel? I was probably at the time, 18, 19, somewhere around there, where I was in my life and, all that stuff. And it was so rude. And I had no idea. She asked for an application. She goes, an application for the TGI Fridays points. Remember that point system thing? Anyways, I don't even barely remember it. But she's like, yeah, right. Like I would ever work here. And they're all just laughing at me. What did I do? Right? So you can encounter people in your lives like that are just rude, that just want to tear people down, that just want to project, that just want to say, I'm not in a good place, so I'm going to take it out on the wait staff. I'm going to take it out on customer service. I'm going to take it out on somebody else because I feel powerful. I feel in control. I feel better about myself. So remember that. Now, at the time, I definitely did not know about don't take things personally. And I did take a lot of things personally. And a lot of times I would run to the back and cry and cry and cry. I wonder why people were so rude to wait staff. I didn't understand it. But now, getting older, I understand. And I really try to teach my kids that, like, hey, if somebody is really upset and just going off on you, when they're at work, when they were doing their job, and remember, it's not about you, it's about them and their frustrations, and really teach them that in hopes that they didn't take things as personally as I did and just go down this darker, hole of depression thinking that, yeah, they're right. I am a piece of crap. And why am I doing this job? And, I don't amount to anything, and, agreeing with them and reminding myself it's really about them. And so it's a really good reminder for all of us just to remember that in our lives. It's that book, 4 Agreements. Don't take anything personally. That's one of the agreements. Don't take anything personally. Really, it's not always easy to do, but you'll live a much more freer life if you can just kind of shrug that off like, oh, wow, what's wrong with them, right? I want to read you something. What if everything around you isn't quite as it seems? What if all the world you think you know is an elaborate dream? And if you look at your reflection, is it all you want to be? What if you could look right through the cracks? Would you find yourself afraid to see? Okay, so that if you don't recognize it, is a Nine Inch Nails song. One of my favorite songs. I was on my run the other day and that song popped on and I thought, wow, you know how sometimes you hear lyrics and you're like, oh, whatever. That really struck me with the conversation we're having today and the theme of this march with anger and frustration. And it really got me thinking, what if everything, there's two parts actually. What if everything is a dream? You know, it's a story in your head, like we've talked about, like everything has to do with what you're thinking about, what you're believing, right? You believe that the world is terrible, life sucks, and you die, right? And then that's how your world is. But you believe there's prosperity, abundance, and good people out there, then you will see more of that, right? And then he talks about what if you looked at your reflection in the mirror? What if you could see right through the cracks? Would you be afraid to see? And it got me thinking about the anger and the frustration, like how many of us like don't really want to see those parts of ourselves. So we numb that part with maybe going out, maybe having a drink, maybe, suppressing it somehow, right? We don't want to see those parts. We think it's ugly. We think it's shameful. If we're getting angry, if we're getting frustrated, and we don't really want to look at the whole of us. We just want to love some parts of us. We just want to love the part that's good, the part that's kind, but we don't want to see the whole picture. We don't want to deal with it. So we push it down, push it down, push it down. And then that's how we suppress our emotions, how we suppress our anger. And then it might just blow up sometime. And then we're back at that cycle. Oh, feeling shameful, feeling guilty, not understanding why it's coming up because we're not really wanting to look at our reflection wholeheartedly and look through the cracks and see all of us. We don't want to see all those parts. Maybe the part that we don't love the most. We don't want to work through it. We just want to push it down and act like it doesn't exist. So I thought that was most cool. It just, hit me when I was running. I was like, wow, what would we be afraid to see? And that's what I really want to, talk about this whole month is like really seeing that part of us, like learning healthy ways to release the anger and frustration, letting it go, loving all of us, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that stuff, like loving it all, appreciating it all. And so I've invited one of my coaches, I do coaching with her, one of my friends, to come back on the Mindset Chick podcast. She'll be on here next week. We're going to be really diving into anger and frustration even more. And she's going to share her techniques about how to really integrate it and use it as fuel so that it can become your friend and it can actually support you in your manifesting journey. Can you believe that? And she's going to share some really great practices. It's a great conversation. I can't wait for you to hear it and be a part of that episode because I think it's so much needed. I think that part of us sometimes is trying to come up to show us what we need to work through to help us learn something or steer on a different path. They always say no good story ever started with like everything was going right. And then I set my goal and then I manifested all this money and I manifested the business and the lifestyle of my dreams and everything just came from the sky, right? It's not a straight line. It's like twists and turns and journey and path. And a lot of motivational speakers that I love to listen to, they've really struggled in their past or they hit rock bottom and then they turn their life around, right? So maybe they got really angry, maybe really frustrated. And that's what got them to go on the path that they were intended to go on. So it's going to be a really good conversation. And I can't wait for you to join us. And remember, friend, to dream big, follow your heart, and never give up on you because you're worth it. Thank you for joining me today on the Mindset Chick podcast. I hope this show has you waking up every morning excited about the new manifestations you have created in your life. And if you would honor me with a 5-star review over in iTunes, I will happily enter your name in my Mindset Chick swag giveaway. Make sure you add your name to the review and I will reach out to you if you're the winner. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. Be sure to visit me at mindsetchick.com for past episodes and more gifts that will help you to manifest your dreams into reality.